I'll leave you with this video, which I know will motivate some of you. How's it going, YouTube family? Today I'm venturing into one of those authentic little forests here in Asturias with its traditional vegetation to learn the story of this girl who has restored a house in the middle of this forest. It was completely abandoned and she bought it, she's restoring it, and she lives here, well, growing food in her vegetable garden and with some really cool ideas for the future. I want to meet her because I want to learn from people like her and show everyone that anything is possible. I know there have been many videos where I show people stepping out of their comfort zones to restore a little house in rural areas and come for the peace and quiet, to heal themselves and above all to commit to themselves, that they are capable of going much further than what our minds sometimes tell us is right or normal. So anyway, I hope you want to stay and watch this video because I know you're going to like it a lot. I'll leave my social media links around here in case you want to keep up with the content I don't upload here on YouTube. And now let's get to know this incredible story. Well, I'm already getting closer to this paradise that Maria has created here, and you're about to meet her. In fact, look, 2 kittens that she has here have already come to greet me. Here's Maria. How are you, Maria?
Hello, I'm good. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I was really looking forward to meeting you.
Me too. I was really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for inviting me to come and see this place where you've come to live. I honestly think the project is incredible. I found it fascinating when I discovered you, because it stands out, especially when a young woman chooses to come to the forest and restore an abandoned house. How did this project start? Tell me. Let me put a microphone on you first so they can hear you much better, okay?
Perfect. Well, look, Alvaro, let me tell you, this project started during the time we were in lockdown. And I always say that in the end, instead of me finding this project, it found me.
That's cool.
Because I was at a point in my life where I was very much a city person, working a lot in the city, being someone who was really into city life and not much into nature. And then suddenly one day while I was walking around, I found this place and I felt like it was meant for me. Even though I had nothing to do with this, I felt like this was my place and I trusted that this house was really going to be my home. So it's really beautiful because she is the one who gave me the opportunity to test myself and to find out where my path was ultimately going, which maybe at that moment I hadn't even considered yet. So I came to this house completely alone without any kind of company. I came to this house when it was an abandoned house over 100 years old. I mean, dated to 1900, but no one really knows when exactly. And the only thing I start to see is that it gives me a lot of opportunities. It gives me the opportunity to grow as a person. It gives me the chance to overcome fears, which maybe I brought with me just like everyone else does. It gave me the opportunity to understand a little better how the system of life works, because here in the end, every seed that falls is a seed that grows. So if you don't see it, it's because you don't want to. So I feel totally grateful that in the end, thanks to moving forward and choosing to see everything in a positive way, instead of with doubts and worries, I am where I am today. So how about I start showing you the paradise I live in now, Alvaro?
Well, let's go over there because I'm really curious, you know?
Look. Here, let me show you the dry toilet. It's a project that had to be done because anyone who thinks about finding a house might think they're going to find a bathroom and a bathtub. But actually, in the past, at least in Asturias, people didn't have a bathroom at home. So when I arrived, I found a house where there was absolutely nothing to wash yourself or to take care of basic human needs. So I had to put together, also with the help of people who came to help me, this dry toilet, which is a system where you do your business here and everything falls onto the ground. So on the ground, little by little, organic matter starts to build up, and once it's full, which obviously will take some time because, well, not that many people come to see me for this to fill up so quickly. But once it's full, it will be moved over to this side here. So the places are rotated. And then it's really nice because if you use sawdust or some kind of straw, for example, I prefer not to buy sawdust because in the end I think, why should I have to depend economically on something? So I say, I take straw from there, and every time you come to the bathroom, you use a little bit of straw, and that kind of helps everything decompose.
That's because people from the countryside try to be as self-sufficient as possible when they come here.
Totally.
We know that self-sufficiency, a lot of people say it's a myth, and I think so too. In a way, you can't be 100% self-sustaining.
I think it's impossible.
But I imagine that the most nature can offer you is the philosophy behind it, right?
In the end, I think it's a collection of values. If in the end you see that what you want is for it not to smell here, and you realize that right here you have some material that can help you do exactly that job, well, what could be better than making use of it? And what looks like straw, something useless, might actually be the way you save on sawdust. So that's already something you gain because you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to worry, and you don't have to spend money. So that's one less thing to worry about.
Nor unclog the pipes?
Totally.
How cool, how cool. Well, you're showing me from the lowest part of the property up to your house, which we'll leave for the end to make it a bit more intriguing, okay? Because I know everyone is curious, especially about the house we have back there, but we have to save it for the end because it's the biggest project she came here to do. But above all, a lot of people must ask you how you support yourself, right? What do you do for work now? What do you eat? How do you produce your food? Do you have animals? Tell me a little about that because I know it's something that always draws a bit of attention.
Yes, and in the end it's normal because, as we said, being completely outside the system would be practically impossible. Even if you're here and don't see money, for example, where I live, there's no way to use money, which I really like. Even if you don't really see it, you need to buy things, you need to have money to move forward with many things. What I'm saying is, if in the end you come to the conclusion that the less you need, the less you also have to earn, then you end up finding a balance where you can get things on your own and there are also things you have to buy. So I thought about it and said, I used to do crafts, I did macrame, I made jewelry. And when I got here, I thought, well, what better place to understand my creativity? What better place to have a workshop to feel comfortable and be able to create comfortably? Because a lot of times art is something you can't really force, right? So I started working on my account, which is the Somos Salvajes account. And I started to enjoy working on what I liked. And thanks to the value people gave to my pieces, I was able to exchange my art for the money that I obviously also need.
Yes, because we never claim it's unnecessary or that making a living isn't possible. In fact, even today, I always pointed out in the videos that not only, well, for example, you chose this because it's what you like, it's what comes from within you, but there are also opportunities online.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, we have all the conveniences.
Absolutely. Here there's full coverage, and for example, maybe I'm someone who hasn't really felt super comfortable with technology and computers yet, but if I wanted to, from the very beginning, I could have looked for any job and worked remotely from here just fine. And then another thing that I really appreciated, at first I didn't value it as much because I thought I'm alone, so I won't need it that much, right? Why would I start a vegetable garden if maybe I don't really need that many tomatoes or that many peppers? Of course, then my point of view changed because I started to see that everything in the supermarket was getting more expensive and tasted worse.
Yes.
So I told myself it's no longer about saying maybe you'll have some left over, but maybe what you get will be of good quality.
Of course.
So I started trying and experimenting because I had absolutely nothing to do with farming or the land. I mean, I had always respected and valued it and seen it almost like a religion, you know, nature. But honestly, I had never really gotten hands-on before. Then I realized that there were many more factors involved, not just the tomatoes. I said, of course, I can make preserves, I can make jams. And not only that, they're not just for me, but I can also give them to everyone who values my work and who I know will enjoy that jam. Because in the end, money doesn't bring happiness, as we all know. So if I can bring a smile to someone in the morning while they're eating their toast with apple jam, It really hasn't cost me anything.
That comes back to you speaking from experience.
Absolutely. What you give comes back to you, but it's important not to expect anything in return.
Of course, you have to do it from the heart.
Absolutely. So I feel really good knowing that now I have a pantry and that I'm also gaining more and more knowledge about canning and everything related to it. Like I said, I had no idea about any of this, but by trying, by experimenting, and by having 1 out of every 5 jars spoil, you start doing things a little better each time. Naturally, the garden now makes much more sense. And well, now I'm going to show you. For example, here I have a bed of aromatic herbs, which I think everyone who has a garden just loves.
Also, I see that you've done everything with, I imagine, like we talked about before, you've done it with reused materials, and this wood is very old, right? Yes.
Yes. Everything you're going to see, except for this bathroom, for example, everything is reused. Mainly for the same reason, because why would I spend money on wood when there's wood here that can serve the same purpose, right? So, well, I put different kinds of aromatic plants here, and then what I also do is pick figs from here. This aromatic plant called nielda is common in Asturias, though I'm not sure if people know it. And there's a very well-known saying, which my neighbor Roman says a lot, which is, if women knew how good nielda is for them, no, wait. If women knew how good nielda is for them, they would eat it like cows eat grass. Because they say that this plant helps us a lot during menstrual cycles. And a neighbor told me this.
Does it relieve the pain?
Yes, that's what they say. Honestly, I do use it. It's not like I have a lot of menstrual pain, but it's true that they say it's a plant that really benefits the female reproductive system.
Well, look, I'm going to give you a close-up so you can take a picture.
Nielda, not mielda.
And above all, learn to spot it. See if you can find it out there.
Yes, it's actually very easy to find. It's minty, it's milder than spearmint, and, well, it's usually consumed as an infusion, and it's wonderful because it's everywhere.
I also see that you have, this is spearmint, well, mint, right?
I think this one is mint, and over here I have oreganos. And this one here, look, this is chocolate mint.
Let's see how this smells. It really does, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, incredible. I'm getting more and more passionate about aromatic herbs every day, you know?
Yes, it's wonderful. So look, I'm going to show you a bit of what I have here.
What puts food on your table, right? Because in the end, I imagine this garden gets you through a lot.
Look, for example, here I have strawberries. And right now, maybe there aren't any because I come here every day and usually check to see if there are any, since the bugs get to them. Look, here's one. Wow, look how pretty it is. Here, I'm going to give it to you so you can try it. Wow, thank you so much. You'll see what it tastes like.
I'll eat it later. I'm going to save it.
So, well, I have a garden here where I try out and grow new things every year. I feel like nothing can stop me. I mean, it doesn't matter that I'm in Asturias. It doesn't matter if it rains a lot. None of that matters, you know? Because look, here are my tomatoes. I think they look beautiful. Some people don't believe that tomatoes can grow here without a greenhouse, but I don't see any problem with it. The tomatoes end up growing.
I see you have lettuce. Also, you don't clear out the vegetation as much as a lot of people do. I've always heard that helps create a kind of microclimate, right?
Of course. I've learned this recently, and it's great because it saves a lot of effort. It saves you a lot of time beforehand, you know? Think about it. This soil has been in the jungle for a very, very long time. So this soil, really, the soil itself is very rich. What I do is just clear a little bit of the grass on top, which are not weeds at all. They're just grasses that you're not actually cultivating. I use those same grasses as mulch, and then where I want to plant, I use a trowel, put the plant in, close it up, and cover it with grass. So what I achieve is not killing earthworms, not killing pill bugs, not killing the ecosystem, you know? So that ecosystem, when I put the plant in, keeps working and keeps giving me positive and beneficial things.
And in the end, nature is the way it is for a reason, and we should adapt to it instead of going against it. Because I see that we keep using pesticides and a lot of things that in the past we didn't use.
That's something that everyone told me when I got here. You have to put yourself in the mindset that all of this used to be scrubland. So everything, the house, all of it was overgrown with brush. And people would tell me, if you don't use this product that burns the weeds, you won't be able to get in there. And honestly, I would say, I mean, what's the point of putting something on the land I want to farm? A product that kills.
No, it's just that we're really
So do we have to make an effort to clear the brush? Yes. Is it a hassle? Of course. But in the end, what's the benefit? Well, having a garden like this one. I'm going to sit here in this beautiful chilao that I've created because this is really where I can best observe and contemplate the garden. One of the most important techniques when it comes to permaculture in the garden, now keep in mind, I'm not an expert. Like I said before, I don't really know anything. I just experiment and then draw conclusions, is observation. They say that the first and most important step is to spend time observing the garden. That way you can get an idea of what is going well and what is not.
As you can see, you have a great view, and not only that, you've set up a little pool over there, so there's no shortage of luxuries here.
Yes, totally. I mean, the bottom line is that if you feel comfortable in your home and you feel capable of anything, nothing can stop you. So you say, well, I really don't have any money. It's true, but I trust that I'm going to have a pool. People will say I'm crazy and that I'm dreaming, right?
Not me, I know what you're talking about.
But it just so happens that my mother had a pool, so she didn't have anywhere to put it, but I did. Well, actually, all that work had to be done in order to put the pool in.
Move all the dirt.
Of course, so I say if I have to be at home, let it be with every comfort, you know? I mean, and from here on, even more.
And the water, which I know in many countries, well, you know, they're going to watch us from many parts of the world. You mentioned, including on social media, that you notice many people growing in Argentina and similar places. I have a large audience, so let's see if any of the people you follow are watching you now.
Yes, I'm a huge fan too.
Yes, you had already mentioned that to me. And they're going to ask me about the water issue. As many of us know, in Latin American countries, and not just there, but also in southern Spain, there are a lot of problems with water. Here, thank God, we don't have that problem. In fact, it rains quite a lot. Where do you get your water?
Well, look, I'm lucky enough to have my own spring. It's something I didn't know when I got the house, because in the end, it kept giving me positive surprises over and over, right? But I also think it's very important not to limit yourself, you know? Like saying, I only want a house with a spring, because for example, of course I wanted a house with a spring, but I didn't know it was there, and I wanted it anyway, you know? So I have my own spring here that supplies water both here and to some bathtubs that I'll show you upstairs later, which are really cool because they have their own ecosystem.
Ganas ya, tengo unas ganas.
And thanks to that and the fact that it really rains a lot here, I can have the luxury of a pool like this. It's also true that those of us who live in Asturias often don't realize what's happening in other places because we don't experience it. So, of course, I understand that for many people in Spain or outside of Spain, it's surprising, right, to say, well, look, she can have a pool and there's no drought problem there. Ultimately, that's the reason. The climate here makes it possible. For example, today isn't a beautiful sunny day. Just like I complain about not being able to use the pool as much as I would like, it also has good things, like being able to have it and fill it, knowing that I'm not hurting anyone.
Well, yes.
So thanks to the rain, thanks to the spring, and also with time, in the end, you manage to have something like this. Honestly, it's like a dream. Well, now for real, I'm going to show you my house, better known as Nogalia. And well, I want to give you a bit of context because of course I told you before that I found this during the lockdown. And I want you to imagine how I found this house. The thing is, from up there all the way down to here, everything was covered in blackberry bushes, the kind with thorns.
The one with thorns, the one I show you when I go exploring.
So when I first got here, I didn't know what was here. I mean, I didn't even know this was here or that there was this wall or that there was a door. And little by little, as the days went by, I would come and clear away the plants, first using sticks and then using a scythe, because it's true that I didn't have a brush cutter, so it was all manual labor, which is something I really believe in. Well, I ended up getting the water to come out of the spring. I managed to get the bathtubs to fill up. Now there's this amazing thing, which is an ecosystem that has created itself.
Well, I'm amazed because, I mean, you discovered this, like you said, and it comes from the spring water. It fills up with the spring water. And I don't know if you saw earlier when I zoomed in that there are tadpoles.
Yes.
Look over there. Do you see it?
There are a lot of tadpoles.
There are many more below that I'm not sure the camera will capture.
There are newts. And there's even something that I find extraordinary, and that's that there are limpets.
Really?
According to my neighbor, it could be that they come on the birds' feet because, of course, they're like sea limpets, very tiny, but they're limpets. I wonder how the limpet got here if I haven't brought anything in. Because tadpoles obviously come from the eggs of toads or frogs. Newts have legs, but limpets. So it's incredible because in the end, the ecosystem just keeps building and sustaining itself. And here in the end, whoever doesn't belong, and whoever needs to be here is here.
Impressive. You even have a bottle chilling there.
Yes, yes, this is the official fridge. So, well, I don't drink alcohol, but it's true that when someone comes over, we always offer them something cold.
What I love is seeing the cats roaming free around here. I really love it, honestly. The connection with these little animals living out here in the forest.
And they're great allies too, because when I got here, there was a big problem with mice and rats in the house. There was a problem, which was that they started eating the wall. I mean, between the bricks, they could keep gnawing away with their teeth. And of course, I started to realize that they were destroying my house just to get to where there was food or things like that.
That's intense.
So, of course, having the cats, besides giving them the best life, also helps me keep the mice somewhat under control.
You live in total symbiosis, I get it.
Yes, yes. Also, at first I accepted the mice. I thought, well, it's normal. But the thing is, they started having families, and in the end, there were way more of them than me. There came a time when a mouse would walk by and look at me as if to say,
What are you doing in my house?
how about you? I thought, let's do something about this. And look, I took this bottle from here, which is an old bottle.
Oh, I find a lot of these around.
That's actually where my house's name, Alvaro, comes from.
Yes, I think you can see it there. I'm not sure if you can. Nogalia, that's where you got the name for your...
Yes,
So you found it here.
yes.
It felt like a sign. That would be her name.
Yes, I mean, I found the house one day, and the next day I came back here and found this bottle, and it seemed like such an original name to me, a name I liked, and I was really letting myself be guided by the signs, because in the end, the signs had brought me here, right? So talking to a friend, I said, girl, this is so beautiful. And I said, something is telling me maybe I investigated, and it turns out that Nogalia was an old brand that was designed and made to cover gray hair. I mean, based on the walnut stain from walnuts, they made a natural dye that came in these bottles and covered gray hair.
Well, from now on, I'm going to pay attention to see if I come across any because I've seen a lot of these, but I've never really noticed.
We have to appreciate them. Yes, yes, we really have to appreciate them. Also, not all of them still have the screen printing visible. And, well, it was really nice because my friend told me, girl, if you feel like that's your home and you feel like you like that name, who's stopping you from calling your house that? And I said, obviously, that's it. Nogalia is the name of the house.
I bet this house once had its own name, since all the houses did back then.
It does, it does.
Of course, and we're talking about this house being over 100 years old, right?
Yes.
Even though it looks a bit worn because the years have passed and the owners who have lived in it.
Well, I can even show you that there used to be much more here than what I have today. I mean, there was electricity here.
We haven't talked about electricity. You have spring water, but you're not connected to the power grid. How do you get electricity?
Well, the thing about electricity is that there used to be some poles that brought power here, but of course, since this house dates back to the 1900s, it could be even older. People lived here and they had all the comforts except for a bathroom. What happens? The house eventually falls into disuse, and when it rains a lot here or it snows, or, well, nobody takes care of the land, which is quite a big problem because in the end, everything belongs to someone, but very few people actually take care of it, right? So trees fell and the poles came down. So when I got here, I found a place that seemed like it could have electricity, but when I contacted the company that provided the electricity, they told me about very high prices so that I could reconnect or get hooked up again. So I decided that the best thing was to install what I could at that moment, which is what I still have, a photovoltaic system with just one panel, nothing more. But it's very nice because learning to live according to the rhythm of the day also has a lot of positive things.
I've heard that a lot.
Yes, because it's like valuing it even more. And the day I flipped a switch here and saw a light bulb turn on, I said, oh my goodness.
And I did it with the energy from the sun.
How lucky. Totally, totally. So it's something I really like, something I'd like to expand, because right now I don't feel like I have all the comforts I'd like being able to have a washing machine or being able to have a fridge, you know? I only have electricity, and if you want to charge things like a camera or a phone, or even on a sunny day, you can watch TV, you know? But if it's not sunny, obviously you can't watch TV. So that's it. As for me, honestly, I'll never give up solar energy.
Well, I'm going to give you a gift. I'll send it to you, but I want to give you a gift you'll really like. I don't use it, and it'll be very useful for you.
I'd love that.
I'll mention your social media several times in the video so people can follow you. Anyone who wants to see the gift should follow you.
I'm more than happy.
They already know what it is. I'm not even going to tell you yet.
And that way I'll remember you every day.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's going to be really good for you.
Look, I'm going to show you the house. Well, you have to keep in mind that all of this is under renovation. So right now it's a bit disorganized because it's missing some walls. But anyway, I can give you a rough sketch of what this house used to be like.
What was it like?
This is amazing because the door opens all the way. So you end up with a super, super wide doorway. Everything is original.
Look how well this one lives.
Yes. So, well, we're in what used to be the main house of the people who lived here. Downstairs was used as a stable and up here was used as a living space. It's also said it was used this way so the animals' heat and probably the smell too
Also,
would rise and circulate, right? Well, what we had here was a very narrow hallway with a small room here, which was the kitchen, with the old coal stove. Then over here, there was a living room. Here we had another small room and over there another one, so of course.
so there were 4 rooms total, right?
Yes, 4 rooms and a hallway, and obviously no bathroom. So, well, now there's a project to build a bathroom here, which is going pretty well. We had to change the entire floor, obviously, because it couldn't be reused. Because, as you can see, everything that can be reused, like this door, which is the original, or these windows, which are also original, is reused. But of course, there are things that, for safety reasons, because of woodworm and so on, you have to put in a different kind of floor. The idea is to build a bathroom here with a small shower and views of the forest.
Well, you have a 360-degree view of the forest, right? Yes. So that's nothing to worry about. What I do want people to understand is that you made the leap without any comforts.
No.
I mean, 0. And in fact, you can clearly see here that things are slowly starting to move forward. I know that a lot of people aren't able to take this leap, and they wouldn't do it until they have all the comforts, but it can be done. And you're a clear example of that.
It can be done, and anyone who wants to should do it. I'm not better than anyone, and no one is better than me. I mean, everyone should be happy with what they decide. I think that's totally respectable. I decided to come here without electricity, without water, without company, without a dog, without anything. And that brought me very positive things, like realizing that even though I didn't have electricity, I was very happy lighting a candle and being able to ride out there on the balcony at night. Or realizing that even if I didn't have water, I could go to the spring and wash myself or bathe, or in the end, you see the possibilities yourself. I mean, it's not that life or time gives them to you. It's true that I didn't expect this project, but once it came, I didn't see anything bad about it. I saw good things. Of course, that's it. Every time you put up a wall, every time you block yourself.
Mental barriers.
And if you tell yourself I can't, then you won't be able to.
You're creating a reality.
Totally.
Yes, sir.
So I proved to myself that there were many things I didn't need to worry about and many things I didn't need to be afraid of, because really, when you have the time you need to think about it, you get rid of them.
I'm going to get closer to that window because if you don't mind, it's really catching my attention. Look at this old-fashioned image. It's true that the shoes are modern, but the image of having your clothes here and only having views of nature, look how crazy that is. Honestly, I admire you. I'm telling you the truth, I admire you. I'm trying, as many of my followers know, to make this leap. That's why I learn from people like you. In the end, I think life is giving it to me, since I'm not really seeking it. But it just keeps showing up for me. I don't know if it's algorithms on social media or if there are many other factors, but it's also because I opened the door to them.
Of course, because you're open.
Of course. And that's what you're trying to tell me in a different way.
Yes, totally.
And in the end, that's what...
You have the keys in the end. And look, I'm going to show you something that really excites me, which is that I was already a craftswoman before coming here, but honestly, I felt like I needed to have a space, you know, like...
I'm turning on a little light right there.
I needed to have a space where I could create and where I could have everything together. And so, of course, when I got here with these views, with this space, everything just flowed more than I ever imagined.
Well, yes.
Here, honestly, art is viewed differently. And the influence of nature also matters a lot, because if you notice, in the end, the things I usually use are very natural. This, for example, is cork. Then the other thing is an embedded piece of glass that's recycled from the ground. I find them and I put them in. And then Well, everything else is very natural too. I mean, in the end, it's not just my style, it's that everything influences my life, you know?
So beautiful, really. You create beautiful things.
Thank you.
I've already made a close-up, but well, I want you to see it in detail. This one is beautiful, huh?
Thank you.
I'm going to buy this from you. If it's finished, I'll buy it for my mother.
Oh, look, she's gonna love it.
I'm giving it to my mother as a gift to bring her good energy.
Thank you very much.
So what did you have? Did you use the ladder to get to the stable?
Yes. Well, there wasn't a ladder here before. I mean, people used to go all the way around outside and then they'd get to the top and go down below. Well, what we had here was a cabin-style ladder, and now they're building a real staircase, you know, a proper one, the kind everyone wants. But, well, like I said, in the end, you need money for projects, and the money isn't always there. So right now, this staircase is still a little unfinished. Soon, I'll get to work and finish it. And thanks to that, I'll be able to say the staircase is done.
That's cool. Do you have something downstairs too?
Yes, come, I'll show you.
Let's go over there.
Well, this is the house you can see now, but when I arrived, you really couldn't even see it. I mean, I want you to picture the setting. This land you see is kind of sloped. Well, everything, absolutely everything, all the way up there was covered in brambles, everything, absolutely. So, of course, everything was super surprising because little by little I kept finding things like a door, like a stable, and now I'm going to show you the lower part of the house, what I was telling you about before. That before
Look at how he welcomes us.
Before it was a stable, and the idea right now is for it to be a living room, a kitchen, and also a pantry.
Very good.
Well, here it is.
How spacious.
Yes, there's still a lot of work to do here, honestly, but, well, like I said, my first priority is really not to get overwhelmed. So whatever has to come will come, and things will get done little by little without any kind of...
But do you have what you need to live? For me, that's what... Okay, it's not aesthetically like what most people are used to in homes nowadays.
Of course, the floor, for example.
Yes, but you have what you need.
Yes.
And the important thing is you're happy.
Very happy.
A lot of people have things much better than this, yes, with all the walls and floors perfectly done, but they're unhappy.
Yeah, it's true.
They get stressed or work at jobs they dislike just to keep things they don't even want.
There's a very interesting phrase I heard the other day that said, whoever isn't happy with what they have won't be happy with what they don't have either.
Well, I'm going to add another one myself.
Go ahead.
Which I really like, by the way. You need to have less to have more of yourself.
Well, that's a really good one. That's a really good one too. And so, well, here I have a pretty nice little kitchen. Like I was saying, a lot of things come from the garden and obviously some things don't. And this is also where we make the most of what we have, which is very important too, because as I mentioned, the fridge doesn't work. So here, what we do is live day by day. We cook daily, and whatever is left over, we have for dinner. So you start to value food differently. Well, because here, honestly, well, here and anywhere, throwing away food is a crime. So if you don't have a way to store it or keep it in the fridge here, you just make enough for the day and that's it.
You use it to protect yourself from mice, right? Yes.
Yes, definitely. This protects me so that...
And the original one from the house?
The original one, absolutely. Yes, everything is original. I mean, all the sinks, this. And actually, I'm going to show you something interesting that I found when I got here. Look, this plate, for example.
Oh, how beautiful. It's Pinocchio.
Made in Gijón. And not only that, it has a matching cup.
Look at him. He's so nosy he came down to see us.
Look how fantastic. When you finish your colacao, Pinocchio appears with that mischievous face.
It's really old, huh?
And another thing I love...
Did you find these here?
Yes, these 2 cups of David the Gnome and his wife from the year...
Oh, I used to watch this.
87.
Born in 88, I used to watch this cartoon.
Well, I became a fan after living here.
That's cool.
Because I came across them and I said, this is amazing.
Damn, this is a relic.
Yes, totally.
I've never seen it before, huh?
So, well, in the end, here everything has value. And I also get the feeling that things like this nowadays, you just don't find them anymore. And look at how beautiful this piece is. I mean, just imagine the person who made this, how proud they must be that today this is being used and put to good use. So anyway, here I'll show you my kitchen.
Well, and you also have another chill out area here, but indoors, right? A really cool sofa with the TV you told me you were using.
From time to time.
And the pantry is where you store what you produce, right?
Yes, totally. I mean, look, for example, last year I made apple cider vinegar. Then I have beans, also from the garden. Here I have all my preserved foods. Well, for example, peppers from last year.
That's cool.
Well, a bit of everything, some jams. It's really nice because in the end, I love having everything organized here. And you come here with your little basket. You ask, what am I doing today? Then you put it in here, bam, 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 and take it to the kitchen. And here you work on your recipe. And that's it. You work on your recipe.
How cool.
And that's it.
That's amazing, really, huh? And also the happiness I see in you when you talk about it, I think that's what matters most, huh? Yeah.
Yes, that's real. Well then, I'm going to use this place to say goodbye so people can see that there are many options for self-care. And maybe you've never seen this before, but what you're seeing here is my bathtub with a view of the stars.
Oh my goodness, man. I mean, I can imagine taking a bath in this little tub and I can see that down below, yes.
Yes.
Is it what I think it is?
Yes, the technique is simple. Down here there's a kind of hole like a grill. You can see it there.
Wow. Wait, I'm going to turn on the light so you can see it much better there. Look.
So here, well, the process is very easy. You go to the forest, gather firewood, let it dry, and when you want to take a bath, preferably if you do it during a full moon, you'll have more light to enjoy it. Well, that's it. You heat the water and then, well, you have to be a little careful when getting in so you don't end up boiled in it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Test it with your foot first. It's true, it gets hot. But, well, it's also true that I have this, which I put on my butt.
Wow.
That way I don't get burned.
You don't get burned anymore, and the water is warm.
And the water is warm, and once the water isn't so hot anymore, you take this off and you feel the warmth from underneath.
How cool.
So, maximum efficiency. And as you can see, in the end, where there's a will, there's a way. So that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you so much, Alvaro, for coming all the way here and for us getting to meet each other.
I appreciate it even more.
And for giving us this very opportunity. And that's it. I also want to tell people that if this can serve as an example for them, and if this serves as a way to see that it's possible, that whoever wants to really can, because after all, I don't have to change anyone's mindset if they don't want to change it.
Yes, it's through example in the end.
Yes, well, absolutely.
I try to convey that in the video, nothing more, just by example.
Well, what you see is what you get, no tricks or anything. So if it resonates with you, think about it. And if on the other hand, this is just an entertainment video for you, that's great. Have a laugh and enjoy it.
Do you encourage people to come out here and connect with nature?
I encourage anyone who feels that their place is in nature to stop doubting it and give it a try. Because honestly, nothing bad happens just by trying. I'm not even saying you have to invest. You can also look for options where you might not have to spend as much money, but if it truly resonates with you, give it a try. And I also encourage people to come with a mindset of enjoying, of giving, and of receiving, not just receiving. Because in the end, everyone has to do their own work. And you can't come here thinking that this is going to fix your life, or that it's going to be miraculous, or that you're going to exploit it and become rich. So always keep things in balance and always think with your heart about where you want to go, and that's it. If you listen to yourself, maybe you'll end up somewhere like I did, just like I listened to myself.
Well, with these wise words, there's not much more I can add. I'll just leave this amazing woman's social media here so you can follow her and stay tuned for the upcoming projects. I'm going to leave my own social media as always in case you want to stay a bit more up to date with the content I don't upload here on YouTube. And that's it. See you in the next video.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.